Chapter 1001 Swallowed Star. At the highest point of the virtual universe Thunder Island, outside the palace amidst the endless energy currents, Luo Feng appeared. Things are out of my control. Luo Feng stood outside the palace, frowning as he pondered, if I don't manage to escape from that land and get killed, my treasures will be taken away. Then when that time comes to get them back, it'll be hard. Luo Feng. A voice resounded. Luo Feng was shocked, turning fiercely. Outside the palace, near the cliff stood a golden-robed silhouette. It was the primal Chaos City leader. He was gazing down at Thunder Island. Teacher. Luo Feng walked over and bowed respectfully. You came to see me, yet you're hesitating outside. What's the matter? The primal Chaos City leader turned and glanced at Luo Feng, smiling. You told me before that you wanted to go to the 9 underworld space to search for the world tree's leaves, to nurture your third body. Don't tell me there's been a change. Luo Feng said respectfully, the world tree's leaves, your disciple is following the plan. I believe there's hope for it, only my earth body has met with some trouble. The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. My earth body is hiding in the 9 underworld space's safest desolate rock island. I didn't expect another batch of inheritors from the ancestral god sect to arrive there too, and amongst them was Barking Mirror Emperor. That Barking Mirror Emperor was famous for his tracking skills. Naturally he found me, and he was jealous of my treasures, hence he made a move on me. Luo Feng said. Barking Mirror Emperor. The primal Chaos City leader was shocked. If he made a move, how did you escape, or did the treasures already fall into his hands? No. Luo Feng shook his head. Your disciple escaped. You escaped. The primal Chaos City leader was curious. Even though he's undying, he has the strength of a universe knight, especially his natural abilities and attacks. Your disciple still has another treasure, specially made to protect the soul. Luo Feng said. Treasure? The primal Chaos City leader couldn't help but be shocked. According to Luo Feng's battle scenes before, he deduced that Luo Feng's spirit weapon should be a treasure. He didn't expect there to be a third treasure, and one that protects the soul. This made the primal Chaos City leader unable to help but ask, Luo Feng, just how many treasures do you have? Luo Feng was embarrassed. 3, Wu Killer Wings, Spirit Weapon, Soul Protection Treasure, just 3. Just 3. And it's only 3. Back then when I was a world overlord, I only had a single treasure on me. The city lord couldn't help but say. Seems like your good fortune is truly not small. Luo Feng's heart was filled with nervousness. If his teacher asked him where he obtained the other 2 treasures, what should he say? Even if you have a treasure to protect your soul, with his universe realm strength, he won't let you escape. The primal Chaos City master asked. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief within. His teacher didn't ask about the origins of these 2 treasures, otherwise he would have to make up a lie. After all, the Star Pagoda was his greatest secret. Treasures like the Star Pagoda and the Killer Wu Wings, many universe lords didn't even bother with them and only gave them to the strong warriors of their own races. Treasures like the Celestial Wolf Palace were enough to make even the masters of the universe go green with envy. A supreme treasure like the 1,000 Treasures River was enough to make even the masters of the universe go crazy. As for the highest grade Star Pagoda, that was enough to make countless races go crazy over it. The strongest experts in the cosmos would risk their lives to obtain it. Similarly, the 5-color Extreme Light Lake was the ultimate treasure of the number 1 power in the universe. It protected the foundations of their headquarters. Luo Feng was very clear, the secret of the Star Pagoda, before he could fully control it, he definitely couldn't reveal it. Otherwise, no matter how strong his background was, he wouldn't be able to stop the madness of the strong. Theoretically speaking, I indeed had no way to escape. However, because he was chasing me, I was in the 9 underworld space. Luo Feng said, during the moment of danger, I discovered the 9 underworld whirlpool. I was thinking, if the treasure landed in the hands of that Bark Mirror Emperor, it would be very hard to retrieve it. Even though the 9 underworld whirlpool was infamous, at least I didn't die immediately. Hence, I made up my mind and rushed into it. The 9 underworld whirlpool is similar to a wormhole. This disciple has arrived in a world. Luo Feng said respectfully, there's a group of special life forms living there. They are all tall and sturdy, their bodies are blood red, with blood red horns. The place I'm at right now, coincidentally has a few hundred undyings guarding it. I was lucky enough to escape. However, I reckon there will be even stronger warriors chasing after me, and I can't teleport from my god country. I can only wait to be hunted. I can only try my best to delay for time, after all that place is huge. Double quote. The Primal Chaos City leader listened and nodded. You did right. That Bark Mirror Emperor is from the Northern Border Alliance. They have always been arrogant. Once the treasure lands in their hands, they won't be able to retrieve it. The Primal Chaos City leader said. Luo Feng was so shocked he broke out in cold sweat. The pearl was extremely important. Even though Bark Mirror Emperor might not recognize it even if he obtained it, the pearl would be infused into the soul of the Star Pagoda. Naturally it couldn't be lost. What should I do now? Luo Feng looked at the Primal Chaos City leader. Ha ha ha, now you know to come and beg. The Primal Chaos City leader smiled. The Ancestral God Secret Region, I've never been there before. I know very little about it. However, the most terrifying beings in the secret region, the absolute beings that roam the universe, I know a few of them. Double quote. Let me ask you, where are the coordinates of that place? The Primal Chaos City leader asked. It's right below the 9 underworld ocean. Luo Feng said. The Primal Chaos City leader nodded, my guess isn't wrong. Right now you are in that world. Even I can only vaguely feel the item I left with you. And it's obvious it's interfered with by that world. To be able to do that, even in the entire universe, there are only so many. Luo Feng was immediately shocked. This was a life-saving item his teacher gave him. It was something he could use to ask for help at a critical moment. I've never been to the 9 underworld space. However, I know, the true ruler of the 9 underworld space is called the 9 underworld leader. The Primal Chaos City leader said, and the world you are in is the 9 underworld leader's nest. 9 underworld leader? Luo Feng blinked. That's a universe lord. The Primal Chaos City leader said, of course, don't compare him to the Sky Wolf leader and the other beings. This 9 underworld leader, in terms of power, isn't any weaker than me. Luo Feng was shocked within as he heard. No weaker than his teacher? The Primal Chaos City leader had 3 great bodies. They were all incredibly powerful. The 9 underworld leader was actually comparable to his teacher. This 9 underworld leader roams the universe, he's invincible. The Primal Chaos City leader said, even the ancestral god sect treats him with respect. The 3 ancestral gods also have good relations with the 9 underworld leader. There are many things that they can't easily deal with, and the beast gods can't deal with them. Hence, they usually ask for the 9 underworld leader's help. Luo Feng listened carefully. The 9 underworld leader is extremely powerful, especially in the 9 underworld space. The Primal Chaos City leader said, that 9 underworld space is his territory. In the 9 underworld space, the 9 underworld leader is invincible. No one in the universe can deal with him. The Primal Chaos City leader said. Ah. Luo Feng blinked. There was no need for his teacher to lie to him. That's right. It was said that the Primal Chaos City leader was invincible in the primal universe. This 9 underworld leader was actually invincible in the 9 underworld space too. In the 9 underworld space, he can unleash his greatest power. The Primal Chaos City leader exclaimed, Whether it's the strongest world tree you know of, or other universe lord level beings, as long as they are in the 9 underworld space, they are all subordinates of the 9 underworld leader. Hence the other absolute beings in the universe don't wish to go there. Double quote. In the 9 underworld space, it's very easy to lose out. The primal Chaos City leader said, I too don't wish to go there. Only a few Undyings and Universe Knights would go there to explore and acquire some treasures. As for the true Universe Lords, how many would dare to go there? That 9 underworld leader is a vicious and merciless person. In other places, killing a Universe Lord might be difficult. However, in his 9 underworld space, killing a Universe Lord isn't difficult at all. Double quote. Luo Feng was shocked within. He didn't expect the 9 underworld space to have such an absolute ruler hidden behind it. The inheritors in history had only scouted the surface. Right, the inheritors didn't even have the right to make that absolute being reveal himself. It can be said to be invincible. Luo Feng too had a thirst within. Teacher was invincible in the primal universe. This 9 underworld leader is invincible in the 9 underworld space. In the future, will I be able to do the same? In the entire universe, who will be invincible against me? Even though there were restrictions. It had to be restricted to a certain place to be invincible. However, Luo Feng was already envious of it. Basically, as long as he placed his body there, he would never die. The primal Chaos City leader said, the 9 underworld leader is comparable to me in strength. We've worked together many times before, and he even owes me a favor. Oh, a favor? Luo Feng was stunned. If you really meet with danger, you really won't be able to escape. The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng, just shout. 9 underworld leader, I'm a primal chaos disciple. That 9 underworld leader has complete control over the 9 underworld space. Any movement within it can't be hidden from him. The moment you shout, he will naturally know. No matter how dangerous you are, the moment he interferes, you'll definitely be fine. Double quote. Luo Feng understood after hearing this. However, if you can avoid a favor, then don't. The primal Chaos City leader said, if there's really no other way, then use it. Understood. Luo Feng nodded, feeling touched within. A favor was the hardest to repay. For an existence like the 9 underworld leader to owe a favor, it was such a rare thing. How valuable was it? It definitely wasn't any less valuable than a treasure. If you really ask, you can request something from him. You can't let him repay this favor so easily. The primal Chaos City leader said, for example, directly tell him that you want that sector lord level world tree leaf, such a small matter, he'll agree. Your disciple understands. Luo Feng nodded seriously. With the Moshe clansman, he still had hope of escaping. If he wasn't forced into a truly desperate situation, he definitely wouldn't need to repay this favor. Go. The primal Chaos City leader smiled. Yes. Luo Feng bowed respectfully and vanished from thin air. Chapter 1002 Swallowed Star. The blood energy permeated the space. I didn't expect the entire 9 underworld space to be the territory of the Lord of the 9 underworld. Luo Feng was in the grass. The Lord of the 9 underworld is already invincible in this space. Don't tell me the special environment has a special effect on the strong. Luo Feng thought about it and didn't think any more. This was still a distance away from him. Why are they looking for me? Luo Feng immediately connected to Glory World. Glory World, outdoor plaza. The moment Luo Feng appeared in mid-air, he immediately attracted the attention of countless inheritors in the plaza. Look, it's Blade River Emperor. Blade River Emperor has appeared. He's indeed powerful. His natural talent is the cloning technique. It's hard to even kill him. Luo Feng felt weird being stared at. What were they all staring at him for? These legatees were all peerless geniuses. The disturbance from the 620,000 challengers had long since passed. Even when he entered the glory world before, only a small portion of the legatees would pay attention to him. They wouldn't surround him like he was a rare treasure. Blade River. In a corner of the plaza, Emperor Charman shouted. Luo Feng immediately walked over. Walking in the plaza, wherever Luo Feng went, he would attract a bunch of gazers. The inheritors were all discussing amongst themselves as they looked at him. This made Luo Feng even more suspicious. Blade River Emperor, do you still have your wings? Suddenly a shout resounded. Luo Feng glanced. It was the huge Northern Border Alliance group's foreign race inheritor who laughed and shouted. That horny face had an expression that made Luo Feng disgusted. Luo Feng didn't bother, swiftly walking over to the Great Alliance group. What's going on? Luo Feng sat at a table. Beside him sat Emperor Charman, Li Shuo and Qiu Rain Emperor. These three were also the closest to Luo Feng in the Great Alliance group. Blade River, I heard you were chased by Bark Mirror Emperor and fell into the 9 underworld whirlpool? Is there such a thing? Emperor Charman first isolated himself from the surrounding sounds, before discussing softly. Luo Feng was shocked. He had only been in that space for a short while and the news had already spread. Don't tell me it's true? Qiu Rain Emperor swiftly deduced from Luo Feng's expression. Right. Luo Feng nodded. The news had probably already spread, there was no need to hide it anymore. You actually really fell into the netherworld vortex. That place is a place where even universe supremacies would find it difficult to survive. Thousand Rain Emperor said. Beside, Li Shuo Emperor and Charman Emperor looked worriedly at Luo Feng. Charman Emperor couldn't help but say, they all said that you fell into a desperate situation and got killed. Your treasured wings landed in that dangerous place. Where did you get this information from? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. Anyway, if we talk to each other in this open-air plaza, the news will spread quickly. King Charman said, it's said that you were chased by the Bark Mirror Monarch and had nowhere to run. Then, you fell into the netherworld vortex. Are you really in the netherworld whirlpool? Dead? King Li Shuo couldn't help but ask. Right now, many were guessing that Luo Feng had already died once and used his clone technique to revive. However, the treasure had fallen into a desperate situation. I fell into the 9 underworlds vortex and arrived at a dangerous place, but I just entered that desperate situation and am still struggling. At least I didn't die immediately. Luo Feng shook his head. I just fell into that situation and you guys actually have news of me already. The news travels really quickly. It was definitely Crow Knight or Bark Mirror Emperor or one or a few of them who spread the news. Where does that netherworld whirlpool lead to? King Charman asked. How dangerous is it? Li Shuo said. Thousand Rain Emperor stared at Luo Feng. This was classified information. The number of people who could escape alive from there could be counted on one's fingers. The value of this information was extremely high. It was treated as top secret and not easily leaked out. Only those that could be easily discovered by the inheritors would be leaked out. That place is very dangerous. Luo Feng thought about the universe supremacies that were chasing Bark Mirror Emperor. He said solemnly, I can't teleport, I can't use my god country to teleport. And the strong there are as many as the clouds. Even if I'm struggling right now, it would be hard for me to escape. I can't teleport, I can't use my god country. Emperor Charman, Li Shuo and Thousand Rain Emperor's expressions changed. Isn't this equivalent to a world of sealing treasures? Emperor Charman couldn't help but say. There was no way to escape. Even if he didn't die, he would be imprisoned there for countless years. To the strong, this was indeed terrifying. I won't talk much with you guys. I still have to continue fleeing. Luo Feng said solemnly and vanished. This made Emperor Charman, Li Shuo and Thousand Rain Emperor memorize it. The secret of the netherworld whirlpool was no ordinary information. If it wasn't for Luo Feng's good relationship with them, he wouldn't have easily revealed it. Luo Feng was fleeing in that space, trying his best to get as far away as possible. And in the glory world, he was the topic of discussion. Bark Mirror Emperor is here. It's Bark Mirror Emperor. When Bark Mirror Emperor appeared in the Plaza of Glory World, he too received the same treatment as Luo Feng. He was surrounded by large amounts of inheritors. Bark Mirror Emperor, I heard you were chasing Blade River Emperor? He was caught in the netherworld whirlpool. Is that true? Immediately an inheritor asked. HMPH. Bark Mirror Emperor snorted coldly. He didn't speak and headed straight for the gathering place of the Northern Border Alliance. After failing to obtain the Blade River King's treasure, he planned an adventure in the 9 underworlds space-time dimension. But suddenly, he received an email. It was sent to him through the glory world by some of his friends. Only then did Bark Mirror King know that everything that had happened before had actually been spread throughout the glory world. Bastard, if it's no Crow Knight, then it's those 5 bastards. However, those 5 bastards probably don't have the guts. It's very likely that it's Crow Knight spreading the news. Double quote. HMPH, looks like he's not an idiot. The news of Blade River Emperor having a soul-type treasure is new. He's smart to not spread it. Bark Mirror Emperor thought. Simultaneously, he walked over to the Northern Border Alliance and casually sat down. Bark Mirror Emperor looked at the many inheritors around. I know, everyone is curious about this. Bark Mirror Emperor grinned ferociously. Although I don't know about the news spread by that bastard, yes, that Blade River Emperor was indeed chased by me into the netherworld whirlpool. Haha, that's the netherworld whirlpool. Even a universe supremacy would find it hard to survive in there. Even if Blade River Emperor has a doppelganger technique, at least his treasure would have fallen into the whirlpool. Double quote. Bark Mirror Emperor was arrogant and took the initiative to admit everything. 6 days later. On Circus Island, there were many palaces of different styles. Boom! A powerful aura of the origin source law descended, causing the entire island to shake. This caused many inheritors to immediately fly out and look at the center of the aura, Tru Yan's mansion. Above the mansion, a 5-colored whirlpool appeared. The auras of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth harmonized with each other, giving rise to an even more noble and majestic aura of the law of space. The core of the 5-colored vortex was a stretch of nothingness. It was like a mysterious passageway that connected to the origin of the universe. Boundless divine power directly entered King Tru Yan's residence. He broke through the law of space. Who is this? He comprehended the complete law of space and became a universe supremacy. Figures rose above Circus Island, looking at the scene with shock and envy. More than 100 million inheritors on Circus Island were stuck at that step and had been longing for this day. Whose mansion is this? I don't know. I don't know either. Who is it? Who broke through and became a universe supremacy? I don't know. Not many inheritors knew, and most of the members of the Hong Alliance didn't know either. King Chapman said, that mansion is next to Blade River King's mansion. It belongs to one of the 2 inheritors sent by the human race. One is Blade River King, and the other is Tru Yan. Tru Yan. Tru Yan broke through and became a universe supremacy. This shocked many inheritors of the Hong Alliance. Tru Yan has been stuck at that step for countless years. He finally broke through. We have to pay him a visit and congratulate him. No hurry. This is the most critical moment for Tru Yan to absorb divine power. We can't waste any time. Horizontal ellipsis. On the path to becoming an expert, becoming an immortal, a universe supremacy, and a universe lord, the origin law of the universe would descend at these 3 critical moments. Especially the first time, it was the transformation of the body to the divine body, and one could absorb as much divine power as they wanted. But the second and third times were not so lucky. Of course, the moment of becoming a universe supremacy and the moment of becoming a universe lord, these two critical moments, although they could not absorb as much as they wanted, were much more special than the usual absorption of divine power. This was because the descent of the origin law was like a complete connection to the sea of laws, and one could absorb as much as they wanted. Unfortunately, the descent of the origin law was limited. After a certain time, the origin law would disappear, so one could only desperately absorb divine power for a short period of time. Horizontal ellipsis. After a while, all the fluctuations dissipated. Immediately, some inheritors and even universe supremacies of the Hong Alliance went to visit. Creak. The door opened. Tru Yan was looking outside with a smile. Ha ha ha, please come in. Congratulations, Tru Yan. No, Tru Yan. Tru Yan, congratulations, you two have stepped into the universe supremacy level. Different from Luo Feng, Tru Yan had many more friends. Many universe supremacies were friends with Tru Yan. Yes, after such a long time, I've finally stepped into this level. Tru Yan nodded. He no longer looked tired, instead he was in high spirits. How much divine power did you absorb this time? Not bad, I took the opportunity to absorb as much as I could while the origin laws descended, raising my body to its current limit of 92%. Tru Yan said. It actually didn't reach 100%. We humans are small in size, so we store little divine power. I should be able to absorb 100% during this time. The larger one's body, the harder it was to store 100% of divine power. Like the world tree, with its huge body, if one stepped into the universe supremacy level, the short amount of time the origin laws descended would absorb more divine power than Tru Yan. However, compared to the world tree's size, it would be like trying to put out a burning cart of firewood. He still had to rely on the long period of time to slowly accumulate divine power to raise it. Tru Yan's life genetic level evolved long ago, so it should be 10 times. After reaching the universe supremacy level, his body's limit is high too. To be able to store 92% is already not bad. Double quote. Tru Yan communicated with the other warriors. He was curious. He had broken through to the universe supremacy level, yet his disciple Luo Feng didn't come. Chapter 1003 Swallowed Star. Within Tru Yan's residence, the other Hong Alliance warriors were all extremely warm. It was a good thing to be friends with a universe knight. Especially the other universe knights in the Hong Alliance who were close to Tru Yan. Why? Because there were differences between universe knights. For example, some Emperor-crowned pinnacle warriors breaking through to become universe knights were completely different from invincible Emperor crowns. There were two types of invincible Emperor crowns. One was like Silver Eye. He was born with a high level of life. Hence, he could easily reach the level of invincible Emperor crowns. One was like Tru Yan. At the standard of a normal race, even if he tried his best to raise the genetic level of his life, he would be extremely lucky if he could raise it by 10 times. With this bit of ability, how difficult would it be for him to reach the level of invincible titled kings and to preserve his life under the attacks of universe paragons? He had to have some special methods that allowed him to look down on countless warriors. Whether it was the first or second type, once he became a universe knight, his combat power would be very strong. The first type would have an extremely strong body after becoming a universe knight. The second was that after becoming a universe sage, Undying would be able to preserve one's life against a universe sage. What would happen if he became a universe knight? After a while, the guests left one by one. Only Marshal Soup was left. Marshal Soup and Tru Yan had a very good relationship since a long time ago. Even after Marshal Soup became a Universe Knight, they still maintained a certain level of relationship. Marshal Soup, True Yan asked, do you know anything about the Saber River King? When I came to Circus Island with him and received the inheritance, I went into seclusion. I don't know what happened after that. Tell me about it. He had become a Universe Knight, yet Luo Feng did not come. Something must have happened. You don't know what happened after that? Venerable Wu Tang's voice was sonorous as he said, you've missed a lot of fun. The Saber River King has been in the limelight as soon as he arrived. First, a large number of inheritors on Circus Island challenged him to a duel. They wanted to bully him, but the Saber River King took advantage of them. Marshal Soup's narration was very satisfying. From the 620,000 consecutive battles to the assassination of Luo Feng and the recent events in the 9 underworld space, he told them all. True Yan was initially all smiles as he listened, however after knowing that Luo Feng had been assassinated and 9 underworlds had been forced into a desperate situation by Dark Mirror Emperor, his expression became ugly. Rumor has it that the Blade River Emperor is Luo Feng. Marshal Tang Supreme smiled at True Yan, don't tell me the Blade River Emperor is really your disciple? You don't have to worry about it, Zhen Yan said. Ha ha ha, Supremacy Wu Tang laughed and nodded. I need your help with something, Zhen Yan said. Say it, just say it. What kind of friendship do we have? Venerable Wu Tang really valued Zhen Yan. Firstly, they had a life and death friendship. Secondly, he was optimistic about Zhen Yan's future. Because of the innate talent of the human race, every single person who was able to become an invincible emperor and break through to become a universe paragon had extraordinary achievements. I need information about some of the dangerous places in the Ancestor God's secret realm, especially the 9 hell spacetime, said True Yan. Are you going there? Venerable Wu Tang asked. Stop talking nonsense. Zhen Yan's eyes flashed. How can I not go? Haha, that's Zhen Yan. That's the famous Zhen Yan from back then. Venerable Wu Tang nodded. I've already sent all the information to you through the virtual universe. Zhen Yan nodded and grinned. I've been hiding in Primal Chaos City for 1 trillion years. I'm afraid not many remember me. Half a day later. Zhen Yan was quietly preparing in his mansion. Old friend, after 1 trillion years of silence, I'm afraid you must be lonely. A long black stick suddenly appeared in Zhen Yan's hand. There were golden hoops on both ends of the stick, causing the whole black stick to exude a simple and unadorned aura. This was the first treasure that Zhen Yan had obtained when he was wandering in the universe. It accompanied him in life and death situations, killing time and time again. Only then did he achieve the title of Invincible Emperor. This disciple of mine treats me like family. It's all thanks to him that I can become a universe paragon. Dark Mirror Emperor actually dares to bully my disciple like that. How can I forgive him? HMPH, Special Life Form. Proficient in soul attacks and tracking. Zhen Yan's originally calm aura vanished. Instead, he emitted a sharp and violent aura. Violent. Explosive. This was Zhen Yan. Roaming the universe, killing countless, achieving the title of Invincible Emperor. It was just that he had been silent for too long. So long that many undying from the same era as him had fallen. After 1 trillion years of silence, I've created 3 new techniques. Now that I'm a universe paragon, I'll use you as a sacrifice. True Yan's eyes were filled with madness. When he was an emperor, he had challenged a universe paragon and escaped with his life. He had a sort of madness in his bones. Su. Zhen Yan charged into the sky from his mansion. With a teleport, he arrived at the teleportation fountain in front of the Island Lord's palace and swiftly headed towards the secret region. 9 Hell Space, Desolate Rock Island. As a universe paragon, he could easily teleport over 1,000 light years. Naturally, he could avoid many dangerous places. In less than half a day, Zhenyan had already arrived at Desolate Rock Island. "I'll wait here." Zhenyan sat cross-legged on a mountain peak. "Based on the intel Wu-Tang gave me, when exploring Nine Hell space, one would often return to Desolate Rock Island to rest. As long as Bark Mirror Emperor returns." Following which, Zhenyan closed his eyes. Like a resting tiger, he was waiting for the moment to kill. Below Desolate Rock Island, at the bottom of the Nine Hell Ocean, there was another world. Luo Feng was constantly fleeing, trying his best to get as far away as possible. Su, su, su. 3 silhouettes flew through the sky and suddenly stopped. It was the noble prince and the 2 universe paragons under him. "We actually haven't found this outsider yet." The prince's eyes gleamed coldly. "Your Majesty, our Nine Hell space is vast and endless. That outsider will definitely take the chance to escape. He might have already escaped far away. To find him, we'll have to spend more time," the slightly skinnier Universe Venerable said. These 2 Universe Venerables had blood-red skin and blood-red curved horns. "How long do we have to wait?" The prince creased his eyebrows. "I'll give the order right now. In my territory, all the cities will send out half of their soldiers and spread out to search for that outsider. And all of them will communicate through the virtual world. The moment anyone finds him, inform me immediately. Also, every soldier must always be connected to the virtual world. The moment they lose it, it means they've died. It's definitely an outsider." Double quote. Through the virtual world, the prince immediately gave the order to the armies under him. In the Netherworld realm, every prince was in charge of a large territory, and they had absolute control over it. Search, search, search. Quickly. Go search for that outsider Undying. Like a swarm of locusts, large amounts of Undying and Sector Lord warriors flew out from the cities and swiftly split up, flying in different directions. Every warrior was in charge of a region. The people of the Nine Hell world were very special. They had blood-red bodies and blood-red horns. They were a type of energy life form. And their talents were extremely high. Similar to the golden horned beast, as long as they reached adulthood, they would become sector lords. It was just that they didn't have any talents or techniques. Their bodies and life forms were similar to humans. As they would become sector lords at adulthood, there were many sector lords in the cities. The only difference was that their numbers were much lower compared to the humans. One had to know that the Nine Hell world wasn't that big. However, Luo Feng didn't even see a single person after flying for 10 billion kilometers. One could see just how small the population was. Howl. Howl. These aboriginals were all howling excitedly. They split up in the sky and flew, using their world projection or law domains or even God energy to scan the area. Basically, they were all thinking of ways to search. After 10 days of fleeing, Luo Feng finally met his first hunter. Within a lake. Luo Feng immediately hid below the lake and looked up. Through the lake water, he could see the blood-red silhouette flying at high speed. At the same time, a God energy swept through the entire lake. Luo Feng used the mini-scanning device to hide himself. He looked at the scene. HMPH, just a God energy scan. How can it detect me? This scanning device is the highest-end mini-scanning device I can buy. However, when the God energy reached Luo Feng, it actually stopped. Not good, I've been discovered. Luo Feng immediately understood. How can I be discovered? The blood-red silhouette in the sky stopped violently and gazed below. His eyes were filled with excitement. Outsider. Su. Luo Feng couldn't care less about how he was discovered. He immediately broke out of the water and with a flap of his wings, he became a silver light and his speed reached his limit. Outsider, it's an outsider, I've discovered an outsider. That aboriginal Undying chased Luo Feng, however he realized the distance was getting further and further. He immediately reported through the virtual world, his eyes filled with excitement. Haha, this outsider used a scanning device and thought I wouldn't be able to discover him. Haha, in our nine darkness world, my God energy connects to the energy of the nine darkness world. I can clearly detect any outsider that isn't from my race. Don't even mention an undying, even those universe knights wouldn't be able to escape from us. Su. Luo Feng's speed was shockingly fast. Very quickly, he disappeared from that undying's vision. How did I get discovered? Luo Feng was filled with suspicions as he fled. My scanning device, even an emperor-level invincible wouldn't be able to discover me when I'm hidden. That Bark Mirror Emperor discovered me because of his heaven-defying scanning methods. However, how did a normal aboriginal undying discover me? Double quote. This is big trouble. This is big trouble. Luo Feng knew he wouldn't be able to have a peaceful time. Indeed, the moment the prince got the news, he immediately brought two of his subordinates over, and even arranged for the nearby undying warriors and even some other powerful warriors to stop them. Chapter 1004 Swallowed Star. Within the territory controlled by the prince, large amounts of undyings and sector lord warriors had spread out and were searching for Luo Feng. Hence, even if the prince gave the order to surround Luo Feng, it would still take a long time for them to rush over. Flee. This army has probably spread out in many places. To gather and surround me, it'll take quite some time. Luo Feng activated his Wu Killer wings and became a silver light, breaking through the skies and flying swiftly. I have to make use of this time to increase my distance. I definitely can't fall into their trap. Large amounts of aboriginals gathered from all directions and Luo Feng was trying his best to escape from the trap. On the second day, Luo Feng met 3 aboriginals consecutively, 2 undyings and 1 sector lord. Peng. Luo Feng's spirit energy pierced straight into the sector lord warrior's body, discovering only 1 diamond within. Energy life form, similar to the Moshe clansman, so all attacks are all ineffective. Luo Feng glanced at the sector lord warrior, knowing he couldn't control him, he couldn't be bothered to kill him, continuing to flap his wings and flee. That sector lord warrior was stunned. He didn't kill me. I've discovered an outsider. I've discovered an outsider. The aboriginal immediately used the virtual world to report. On the second day, he met 3 aboriginals. On the third day, he met 12 aboriginals. On the fourth day, he met 21 aboriginals. On the fifth day, he met a total of 52 aboriginals. As time passed, the scattered aboriginals began to gather, with Luo Feng as the center. The density of the aboriginals in the area began to rise. This made Luo Feng feel a sense of danger, however he had no other choice. Obviously the enemy was tracking his movements. The strange thing was, on the 6th day, he only met 1 aboriginals. On the 7th day, he only met 1 aboriginals. From the 8th to the 12th, he only met 1 aboriginals a day. Not good. A few days ago, those aboriginals were tracking my movements. Their encirclement was getting stronger and stronger. There were even 11 aboriginals undyings that worked together to kill me. However, now they've suddenly disappeared. Luo Feng felt like a storm was brewing. He was like a turtle in a jar, constantly struggling. However, this time, he was in trouble. In the air above the continuous mountain range, the noble and elegant prince and the 2 universe supremacies under him stood in midair. I didn't expect this outsider undying to be so good at escaping. The prince smiled. We sent our race undying warriors to surround him, but we couldn't stop him. Looks like the only way to deal with him is to use the universe venerable level foreign race techniques. Double quote. Your Highness, the encirclement is almost complete. The 9 generals are all in position. The lean universe venerable said respectfully, as long as your Highness gives the order, The army can immediately begin the final operation. That outsider has no hope of escaping. Double quote. Don't rush, wait for me to rush over. The prince smiled. For an outsider undying to be this strong, I'm very curious. It would be a pity to let the generals kill him. I want to kill him myself. Double quote. Yes, Your Highness. The two universe supremacies respectfully complied. Let's go, His Royal Highness ordered. Whoosh. The three of them flew directly towards the encirclement. Even the high and mighty prince didn't have many universe supremacies under him. Dispatching the 9 generals was already his limit. Luckily the entire netherworld was incomparably safe, hence he was able to dispatch all his generals over. These aboriginals are definitely gathering, there's a high possibility of them forming a large encirclement. Luo Feng stood in the swamp, frowning. There's a high possibility of multiple encirclements. The moment I escape one of them, the other aboriginals will naturally gather towards me. The encirclement will continue to close, there might even be a universe supremacy leading the troops. Universe supremacy level aboriginals, Luo Feng had seen them before. Barking Mirror Emperor could only flee. If I meet a universe supremacy foreign race, I'll be finished. Luo Feng frowned. Execute the clone plan. Whoosh. 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 9 silhouettes appeared around Luo Feng. They were all foreign races. Master's master. The foreign slaves all bowed respectfully. Change to my appearance. Luo Feng ordered. Yes. These foreign god slaves all transformed, very quickly becoming Luo Feng's appearance, only their auras were completely different. Undyings could naturally transform, however if their bodies changed too much, it would affect their strength. However obviously Luo Feng didn't care about this. As for their auras, only a few of the aboriginals had actually seen him before, and the entire army, it would be hard to tell if he was real or fake. Listen to my orders. Luo Feng immediately ordered. You will be number 1, he will be number 2. You two go first. Luo Feng immediately began to plan. Within the slaves he controlled, there were slaves too, especially the normal undyings and official level, there were even more. Casually wasting 9, Luo Feng indeed didn't care. Yes, number 1 and number 2 complied respectfully, after which they became 2 beams of light and swiftly flew away. Luo Feng used the 9 disguised Luo Feng to intentionally lure the aboriginals and change their encirclement. During the process, Luo Feng suddenly received a message from Glory World. The content was simple, just one sentence. True Venerable and the Northern Border Alliance are fighting. This made Luo Feng jump in shock. True Venerable? Teacher has become a universe knight? Double quote. Fighting with the Northern Borderline Alliance. Why is teacher fighting with the Northern Borderline Alliance? Luo Feng's first thought swiftly flashed in his mind, after which he couldn't care about anything else. Even though he was executing his escape plan, it would take 2-3 days, Luo Feng still split a thread of his consciousness to connect to Glory World. Glory World's open plaza. The moment Luo Feng appeared, he couldn't care less about the other inheritors, immediately heading to the Great Alliance's gathering area. What's going on? Luo Feng sat down, looking at Emperor Charman, Li Shuo and Qiu Rain Emperor. They are fighting, it's a crazy fight. Qiu Rain Emperor said excitedly. True Venerable is simply too powerful. Emperor Charman couldn't help but compliment. Back then he made his name as an invincible emperor. After a trillion years of silence, he's finally exploded. It's indeed powerful. Powerful, powerful. Li Shuo Emperor said too. Speak quickly, what's the situation? Luo Feng was confused. True Yan has become a knight? And what's going on with the Northern Border Alliance? Double quote. The three of them glanced at Luo Feng. There had long been rumors that Luo Feng was the Blade River Emperor. If the rumors were true, Then it wouldn't be strange for the Blade River Emperor to be so concerned about Tru Yan. Tru Yan became a knight. It happened about 10 days ago, Emperor Charman said, after which he left Circus Island. We don't know where he went, but from the looks of it, he went to 9 underworld space. 9 underworld space. Luo Feng thought. Just today, he fought with Bark Mirror Emperor on the desolate rock island of the 9 underworld space. Emperor Charman said excitedly. Beside, Qiu Rain Emperor interrupted. Tru Yan actually defeated Bark Mirror Emperor. You didn't expect that, right? Even that Bark Mirror Emperor was forced into a corner and almost died. At the crucial moment, he summoned a warrior from the Northern Border Alliance who was also in the Ancestral God sect. He's called 10,000 Fire Knight. 10,000 Fire Knight is an outer member of the Ancestral God sect. He's extremely powerful, Li Shuo Emperor said. It's him. Luo Feng was shocked. The outer members of the Ancestral God sect, other than the candidates for envoys and generals, were those who had reached the pinnacle of the Beast God inheritance, at least completely accepted the 5th level. That hero was someone who had completely accepted the 6th level. He was already a universe overlord. This 10,000 Fire Knight, even though he wasn't considered a universe overlord, he was very close. And then, Luo Feng asked nervously. Tru Yan was incomparably powerful. After killing Bark Mirror Emperor and almost killing him, he battled 10,000 Fire Knight again. However, 10,000 Fire Knight is indeed worthy of being an outer member of the Ancestral God sect. Even Tru Yan wasn't his match. After risking his life, he actually managed to escape from 10,000 Fire Knight, escaping back to Circus Island. Emperor Charman said excitedly. He escaped back? Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. Emperor Charman nodded. Back when Tru Yan was still an emperor, when he was still roaming outside, he battled with the universe overlords. He was able to escape with his life then. His escaping abilities were indeed very strong. I heard that Bark Mirror Emperor's speed couldn't even compare to Tru Yan. He couldn't even escape, being chased by Tru Yan. If 10,000 Fire Knight was a little late, he would have fallen. Luo Feng was shocked within. Powerful. This teacher of his had never revealed himself, hiding in Primal Chaos City for trillions of years, stuck at the last step. Who would have thought that after becoming a universe overlord, his explosive speed would be even faster than Bark Mirror Emperor? And he was so strong. Powerful, teacher was actually able to block Bark Mirror Emperor's natural talent attack. Luo Feng was excited too. Regarding this battle, Luo Feng was filled with excitement and curiosity, immediately contacting his teacher through the virtual universe. Virtual universe, an exclusive space. Every human universe overlord had their own space in the virtual universe. This was a floating golden mountain range. Below the mountain range was a sky filled with flames, constantly burning the entire mountain range. Within the mountain range were countless black plants. No matter how the flames burned, they still stubbornly grew. And at the peak of this golden mountain range, there was a layer of ice, snow and ice covering the entire surface of the mountain. Teacher. Luo Feng appeared in mid-air, smiling and shouting. Venerable Tru Yan was wearing a suit of golden armor. He sat there and drank happily. Ha ha ha, come, my disciple, accompany me to drink, it's fun. Tru Yan called for Luo Feng. Luo Feng didn't waste any time, walking straight to accompany his teacher to drink. Disciple, do you know why I'm so happy? Tru Yan looked at Luo Feng. Why? Luo Feng was curious. Is it because you're happy? Beating Bark Mirror Monarch was within my expectations. It was like beating a dog. Moreover, I was severely injured by Venerable Wan Shao. My divine body was only left with 46%. How am I happy? Venerable Tru Yan gritted his teeth. Then why is teacher so happy? Luo Feng was curious. Chapter 1005 Swallowed Star. An unexpected gain. Tru Yan picked up the bottle and drank 3 big gulps, after which his eyes gleamed as he looked at Luo Feng. Do you know, your teacher has some luck too. Even though it's not as good as yours, it's still not bad. Double quote. Teacher, did you get a treasure? Luo Feng thought and asked. Wrong. Tru Yan shook his head. At the Universe Night level, other than breaking through in training, I'm afraid the happiest thing is to get a treasure. However, you said it's because I got a treasure. That's not accurate, because I didn't get a treasure this time. The reason I'm happy is because I discovered that I originally had a treasure. I thought it was just a normal treasure. Who knew it was so extraordinary? Even though it hasn't stepped into the ultimate level, it's definitely a top-level treasure with power. Double quote. Congratulations, teacher. Luo Feng smiled. I'm happy. Even at the undying level, I didn't notice its uniqueness. This is the first time I've fought to my heart's content after stepping into the Universe Night level. Tru Yan sighed. Now that I've ignited my God energy to unleash it, it actually has a new transformation. It actually has a second form. This is definitely a top-level treasure. If it has a third form, then it'll be an ultimate treasure. Luo Feng nodded. The Wu Killer Wings had 3 forms. Teacher, what treasure are you talking about? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask curiously. Haha. Tru Yan glanced at Luo Feng, saying, even though your teacher's movement is powerful, that Bark Mirror Emperor is after all an expert in tracking and scouting. His escaping abilities are extremely strong. Even if I can suppress him, I can't kill him to the point where he can't even escape. That's because the pair of boots I acquired back then had a second transformation. Its power was unleashed. Double quote. The boot's power has increased. I've already created my own pinnacle movement. My speed is extremely fast. Tru Yan couldn't help but be excited. Along with this second transformation, even Bark Mirror Emperor can't escape. Even if I encountered that 10,000 feet venerable, whose strength far surpassed mine, I was still able to escape with my combat boots. Disciple, this kind of treasure that can allow one to escape is priceless. 10,000 feet venerable's strength isn't any weaker than venerable Shihuo. Being able to escape from him means that your teacher, me, is considered average among the universe's venerables, but my ability to escape is considered high. Double quote. Disciple, I'm happy to have obtained a treasure. I thought that it was just an ordinary treasure, but it turned out to be a truly powerful treasure. This makes me even happier. Tru Yan sighed. Treasures were covered in dust, but one day, they would shine. He, Zhen, had finally shone and stood firmly among the strong in the universe. Teacher, you said your strength is average. How can you make Bark Mirror Emperor unable to retaliate at all? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. I heard that many Universe Knights fear that Bark Mirror Emperor. Bark Mirror Monarch's own strength isn't that strong. What's strong is his talent and secret technique. Tru Yan explained. You should know that an ordinary Universe Supremacy's divine body is 100 times stronger than a conferred divine body. I know. Luo Feng nodded. A Universe Supremacy's divine body, even the most normal one, has 10 million times Sector Lord strength. Tru Yan said, and to be able to become a Universe Supremacy, who wouldn't think of ways to raise their own life forms? Normally they can raise it by a few times. Like me, I've already raised it by 10 times. Hence, after I became a Universe Supremacy, my divine body has 100 million times Sector Lord strength. And that Bark Mirror Emperor's limit is 2,000 times that of a normal Emperor. That's 200 million times Sector Lord strength. That's only twice mine. Double quote. Luo Feng nodded. One's divine body had 200 million Sector Lord strength. The other had 100 million Sector Lord strength. The difference wasn't huge. His divine body, along with that defensive treasure, allowed him to fight against a normal Universe Supremacy head-on. However, his attack power is very ordinary. His divine body is only twice as strong as mine. His origin law comprehension is weaker than the other universe supremacies. His own techniques are weaker than most of them too. Hence his attack power is much weaker. He can only rely on his heaven-defying natural talent and techniques to attack. Double quote. His natural talent and techniques are extremely strong. Luckily, I'm a fighter. Fighters are most afraid of being attacked by illusions and other soul attacks. Hence I've been researching soul defense techniques. True Yan said, back when I roamed the universe, my soul defense was already extremely strong. It was already considered a pinnacle technique. And hiding in primal chaos city for 1 trillion years, I was unable to break through in my origin law comprehension. Hence I spent most of my energy on creating techniques. Even though my talent isn't as good as yours, after 1 trillion years of research, I've created 3 great techniques. Double quote. Of which the strongest is the soul defense technique. Even though it's still a pinnacle technique, it's 10 times stronger than before. Double quote. True Yan smiled. With my God energy ignition and soul defense technique, along with my willpower that I've trained for 1 trillion years, I don't believe I can't take it. After all, up till now, Dark Mirror Emperor has no record of killing a universe supremacy. Double quote. Luo Feng nodded. Bud Chasing Emperor had a record of killing a universe supremacy. However, Dark Mirror Emperor didn't. His natural talent and techniques are very strong. However, I withstood it. True Yan grinned. I withstood his natural talent and techniques. Hence, he's destined to be destroyed by me. Read Bud Island. Dark Mirror Emperor's residence. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Dark Mirror Emperor roared within the residence. His roars reverberated within the residence. However, they didn't travel outside. Dark Mirror Emperor's eyes were filled with ferocity. Damn True Yan. Dark Mirror Emperor gritted his teeth. I'll remember you. I'll remember you. Very good. You actually dare to attack me. You actually dare to attack a great special life form. You're really asking for death. You're strong now. When I become a universe supremacy, when that time comes, killing you will be as easy as stepping on a bug. Double quote. He actually directly withstood my natural talent and techniques. And, what terrifying techniques. Dark Mirror Emperor shuddered as he recalled. True Yan wielded that black long rod and smashed him to the point of almost killing him. If not for my treasures protecting me. If not for Wan Chi Night arriving in time, Dark Mirror Emperor felt fear. Even though his treasures were strong, True Yan's comprehension of the laws was obviously stronger than his. That rod technique was obviously of a higher level, causing his attacks to be extremely strong. Even though the treasures weakened him by 90% each time, it still caused his divine body to constantly wear down. Wait. One day, I'll become a universe supremacy. Dark Mirror Emperor's eyes were filled with madness and hatred. This was the first time he was so close to death. This made him hate that human even more. 9 Underworld Space. Within that land and space, Luo Feng's consciousness had just returned from the virtual universe. Rumor has it that if an invincible emperor breaks through to become a universe supremacy, he'll be stronger than normal universe supremacies. The rumor is indeed true. Luo Feng nodded within. Accumulating for a long time, this is what it means to be an invincible emperor. Over the long years of accumulating, if one's origin law comprehension isn't enough, they'll study techniques. It's fine if they don't break through. However, once they do, they'll become extremely strong. Luo Feng smiled. The Moshe clansman has been floating for so long. I've finally reached the world tree. As long as I get one of its leaves, I'll be able to nurture my third body. When that happens, I'll step into the undying level. Dark Mirror Emperor. Since you dare to kill me and steal my treasures, then once I step into the undying level, I'll definitely kill you too. Luo Feng thought. He had absolute confidence in himself. The moment he becomes an undying, Luo Feng's goal would naturally be to compete with the other universe supremacies. He would be able to compete with Bud Emperor and other unique life forms in the universe. As for Bark Mirror Emperor, he would kill him personally. The world tree's leaves, it all depends on this. Luo Feng didn't think anymore. His main focus was on the Moshe clansmen. 9 Underworld Space, Tree Island. The Tree Island was as peaceful as ever. Beautiful flowers and plants were everywhere. The seed pompons floated throughout the entire island. The Moshe pompons had already landed near the Sector Lord level world tree. I've arrived. It all depends on this. The Moshe clansman was filled with anticipation. The fur on the pompons too looked at everything before them. This world tree was still as tall as ever. Every leaf was like a jade crystal carving. It was beautiful and captivating. Rings of light surrounded it. At this time, within the cave on the desolate rock island, an Emperor Pinnacle Undying Servant appeared with the fire god crystal in his hand. 3 teleportations. The first 2 teleportations were above the ocean. The third teleportation, this Emperor Pinnacle Undying immediately arrived at the core of the island, the world tree's domain. The place he appeared was the closest Sector Lord level world tree to the Moshe clansmen. It was about 500,000 kilometers away from the Moshe clansmen. Explode. The moment the Emperor teleported, he threw out the fire god crystal. Following closely, he teleported again, immediately moving 1,000,000 km to the bottom of the huge tree and attacking the Sector Lord level world tree. Rumble. The moment the fire god crystal was thrown out, it immediately exploded. The fire god crystal he brought this time was slightly stronger than the previous one. At close range, it was enough to kill an Emperor level beginner level Undying. The main thing was that Luo Feng only had so many of them. This was already considered weak. Following the explosion, the area around the explosion point of the fire god origin crystal immediately turned into nothingness. A large number of branches in the distance broke and were directly blown away by the strong shock wave. Countless broken leaves were like arrows under the shock wave, flying in all directions. For a time, they flew in all directions, covering the sky. The branches of the world tree. The Emperor Pinnacle Servant teleported 1,000,000 km away. The moment he appeared, he grabbed a huge branch that was at least 300 meters thick. Break it. The king-ranked servant was about to break the branch. The entire domain Lord World Tree let out a furious roar as the entire tree crown trembled. A large number of branches and leaves wrapped around this peak stage king-ranked servant. Despicable outsider, despicable outsider. You hurt me again and again. Go and die, go and die. Chapter 1006 Swallowed Star. That world tree had acted before, however this time he didn't. Obviously he wanted his child to suffer a little and learn a lesson. What's more, his god energy had already enveloped the Sector Lord level world tree's main branch, ensuring that his child wouldn't die. Since that's the case, then he'll let his child fight. The Emperor level slave however was a little crazy. He immediately ignited his god energy, almost like a burning star. The powerful burning god energy caused the countless branches and leaves around him to burn into nothingness, unable to get close. Pa. A crisp sound. Like a piece of jade breaking, that 300-meter wide branch was directly broken by the peak stage Regis Godfiend servant. Go. The Emperor level slave immediately teleported away. According to Luo Feng's orders, he first threw the fire god crystal and then snatched the world tree branch and fled. With his ignited god body, he was indeed able to easily break that branch. Weng. The strongest world tree, which had been paying close attention to all this, finally intervened. An invisible force swept past the peak stage king-ranked servant. The peak stage king-ranked servant, who had just been hugging the 300-meter thick branch of the world tree, shuddered. Then, with a whoosh, He turned into dust and scattered in midair. He died. From the time the Emperor-level slave teleported, broke the world tree and was killed, it didn't even take half a second. He's still dead. The Moshe clansman said. I thought the Emperor-level slave would throw the fire god crystal the first time and attract attention. The second time he teleported, he would probably be killed. I didn't expect him to have the chance to break the branch. The Moshe clansman was curious. With the world tree's ability, the moment he noticed, he would be able to kill him immediately. How would Luo Feng know the matters between the world tree and his son? Weng weng weng. Countless broken branches and leaves flew through the air, shooting everywhere. That intense shockwave caused some seeds to fly around, some of which landed where the Moshe clansman was. It's coming. The Moshe clansman was anticipating that moment. He didn't dare have any special reactions. He was just like a normal ball, floating along with the shockwave. One of the broken branches, with only one leaf on it, was the first to smash towards the Moshe clan's clone. This is the moment. Let's go. The Moshe clone seemed to be affected by the shockwave as it flew around and crashed into one of the world tree branches. XIU. Teleportation. Without making a sound, he directly teleported several dozen light years away from the netherworld dimension. Horizontal ellipsis. At the core of the island, in the World Tree territory, the crown of the Sector Lord World Tree was shaking, at the same time roaring, "It's me again, it's me again, you're attacking me again, why is it me again? Damn it, damn it." Double quote. Haha, poor Kiki. Kiki, didn't you say not to interfere? If you don't, the outsiders will escape. I said not to interfere. Even if the branch is stolen, I'm willing. Father, why are you interfering? The Sector Lord level world tree that was attacked roared in rage. Stop messing around. Such a large branch is enough to nurture a tree of life. I won't let that outsider steal the branch of the world tree. The gentle voice echoed throughout the world tree's territory. Humph. The Sector Lord world tree immediately started to recover. At the same time, it attracted a few broken branches back to its crown. It didn't even notice that one of the leaves had disappeared. In the entire world tree territory, when the Moshe clan's clone escaped, only the strongest world tree reacted instantly with its perception of the spacetime. But by the time it noticed, the Moshe clone had already teleported out of the netherworld dimension. As for the Sector Lord world tree not noticing that one of its branches had disappeared, it wasn't strange. There was a fundamental difference between Sector Lord and Undying. Once one stepped into Undying, each leaf would be infused with a life imprint, naturally one would be able to sense it. But the Sector Lord's world tree actually Sector Lord level plant life forms still had some plant characteristics. Without a life imprint on a leaf, one wouldn't be able to sense it. Not to mention a plant, even if a human Sector Lord lost an arm, it wouldn't be able to sense it even if it was brought several dozen light years away. Plus the explosion just now caused a lot of damage. The Sector Lord world tree didn't even notice that one of its branches had been taken away. Teleportation? A universe lord's teleportation? Double quote. Even I didn't notice it when it hid its energy. That should be a natural ability. A universe lord that knows how to change his energy actually stole a leaf. The strongest world tree was suspicious within, but it didn't think much about it. To it, losing a leaf was like a human losing a dandruff. In the space outside the netherworld dimension. Su. The black-clothed Luo Feng appeared in mid-air. In his hand was an oily jade-like branch leaf. Ha ha ha, I've finally gotten it. The Moshe clone stared at the leaf in its hands, extremely excited. Third clone. With this, if I'm lucky, I'll be able to nurture the world tree clone. When that happens, the world tree will be rooted in the God country, supporting it, making it incredibly stable and huge. And its huge size, even bigger than the mountain passenger teacher and the primal chaos city leader's god body. Even if my other clones use up all their god energy, they can swiftly replenish it from the world tree clone. Double quote. Different clones, but the same god energy. Just like the law ocean, it was the purest god energy. The moment it was infused with his life imprint, it would have an owner. Whether it was his earth body, Moshe clansman, golden horned beast or the world tree clone, they would all be formed from Luo Feng's soul imprint infused with god energy. Even if the golden horned beast lost 80% of its god body, it could swiftly replenish it from the world tree clone. Compared to the world tree, 80% of the golden horned beast's god body wouldn't even amount to 1/10,000th of the world tree. And it has the talent to control time and space. HMPH. If it succeeds, the Moshe clone was getting more and more anxious. Wing. The space beside him rippled with a jade green light. A normal undying servant stepped out from within. This normal undying servant was specially sent by the golden horned beast in the primal region. Master's master. The servant bowed respectfully. Let's go. The Moshe clone immediately brought the servant through the god country. Using the servant's god country as a transfer point, they arrived in the primal region. Primal region, within the majestic palace. Sky Formation Emperor stood there waiting silently. When the jade green light appeared, the Moshe clansman and the undying servant appeared together. Sky Formation Emperor immediately bowed. Master. HM. The Moshe clone nodded. He didn't care about anything else and ordered, from now on, forbid anyone from entering my palace. Yes. Sky Formation Emperor bowed respectfully. Su. The Moshe clone had already vanished. Within the internal world of the core, the golden horned beast and the Moshe clone stood on the endless plains. The golden horned beast's mountain-like head drooped, looking at the world tree leaf in the Moshe clone's hand. The last hurdle. The Moshe clone said softly, there's a limit to my internal world's nurturing. It's 10 times or even 100 times that of the golden horned beast. And this world tree is about the limit of the internal world nurturing. Will it succeed or fail? Double quote. Nervous. Nervous. He had spent a lot of time and effort, and even his main body from Earth was implicated in the netherworld realm. However, Luo Feng wouldn't regret it, as long as the third clone succeeded. After all, a suitable and powerful clone was too difficult. The last gamble. The Moshe clone waved its hand fiercely. The beautiful jade-like broken branches and leaves of the world tree flew directly into the sky. The last gamble. Within the 9 underworld, Luo Feng's eyes were slightly red. He was nervous like never before. The 3 great clans were all waiting for this moment, the moment that would decide their fate. XIU. The green light flew straight into the sky, constantly flying, almost like an aurora. It was glaring. The Moshe clone and the golden horned beast raised their heads and watched. The world tree leaf flew straight into the sky. One had to know that the entire internal world had a diameter of over 100 million kilometers. And this world tree leaf flew all the way to the center of the internal world before stopping and floating there. Natural ability. Clone. Luo Feng's consciousness immediately ordered. He had 3 chances, 1 to nurture his earth body, 1 to nurture the Moshe clansman. This was the last. Rumble. The entire internal world began to tremble. Endless world energy began to madly gather. In an instant, the entire internal world seemed to have entered the end of the world. Simultaneously, a huge golden ball appeared in mid-air within the internal world. The most crucial moment. The Moshe clansman and golden horned beast, including Luo Feng in the 9 underworld, were all very nervous. Peng. The golden ball shook violently. This shocked the Moshe clansman and the others. Peng. The golden ball shook violently again, almost as though a fire god crystal exploded within. Boom. 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 A series of explosions rang out. Luo Feng's consciousness intensely felt the immense pressure from the life imprint of the world tree within the golden ball. That pressure made it hard for the entire internal world to withstand. The golden ball began to crack with the power. Gradually, more and more cracks appeared. Not good. The black-clothed Luo Feng's expression changed greatly. Peng, the final huge tremble caused the entire golden ball to explode, becoming endless world energy that flew everywhere. The world tree leaf also completely disintegrated during this process. The black-clothed Luo Feng and the golden horned beast watched the scene silently. Silence. The entire internal world was deathly silent. Within the 9 underworld, the nervous Luo Feng felt his heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but clench his fists tightly, his eyes filled with pain and unwillingness. Failure. The nurturing failed. Chapter 1007 Swallowed Star. Luo Feng stood amidst the weeds, grabbing the weeds before him and crushing them into nothingness. I failed. I actually failed to nurture the third body. Luo Feng felt his mind ringing. Even when his earth body was in such a desperate situation, he wasn't this flustered before. Ever since he left Earth and stepped into the universe, Luo Feng had been desperately trying to improve. Time and time again, he walked further and further on the path of the strong. However, Luo Feng had to admit, the Moshe clansman and the golden horned beast had played a huge role in this. Even though willpower and temperament were important, talent was important too. The third clone is extremely important to my future development and my future position in the universe. Like an undying knight. Even though he's only a universe knight, even the universe lords don't dare underestimate him. Because up till now, no one has been able to truly kill him. Luo Feng thought, if I have the world tree body, even if the other bodies fall, with the large amounts of God energy provided by the world tree, I can swiftly recover. When that time comes, I'll have the same power as an undying knight. I can be said to be undying. The God country is a God spirit's greatest weakness. And the world tree in the God country, 1. Buffing the God country, 2. The world tree itself is strong, 3. The world tree's natural ability to control time and space, along with the pressure of the God country, its power will definitely explode. Luo Feng couldn't accept it. This was the most suitable one he chose from the sector lord level special life forms he knew of. Actually, he had the 9 calamity manual. In theory, it was more suitable to find a blood and flesh life form, that way his body would reach an extremely strong level. However, with Luo Feng's current position and authority, he knew some information the universe had its limits. For example, the body amplitude and soul amplitude had a limit of 100 times. For example, the highest level life form, even if it was a unique life form in the universe, it would only be a few thousand to 10,000 times. I already have the golden horned beast. With the 9 calamity manual, the golden horned beast will definitely be able to reach a level comparable to those unique life forms. Luo Feng thought, since that's the case, I don't have to find another blood and flesh life form. After all, most of them aren't that big. Size represented the amount of God energy. The bigger, the better. Like the sector lord level world tree, because of its large size, even if the strongest fire god origin crystal exploded, it would probably only be able to destroy a few million km of its body. Compared to its 100 million kilometers diameter tree crown, 60 million kilometers height, even the strongest fire god origin crystal only gave it light injuries. Like the strongest world tree, not mentioning its own strength, just that huge body, is enough to make the other universe's paragons despair. Even if the other universe's paragons self-destructed, they would only be able to lightly injure the strongest world tree. Luo Feng was filled with unwillingness within. Ignoring his comprehension of the origin laws, just that huge body alone, makes it so that only universe lords can threaten him. What do I do now? The world tree's nurturing failed, obviously my internal world can't handle it. Luo Feng gritted his teeth, then what should my third body nurture? It was okay to fail once. The innate secret technique, doppelganger, was destined to have 3 doppelgangers. Of course, the prerequisite was that it had already been nurtured before undying. If he entered the immortal realm, without the world in his body, he wouldn't be able to nurture it. Then, this chance would be wasted. Breed what? My third body, just what should I nurture? Luo Feng's mind went through the information of the special life forms. Flesh and blood special life form. Even if he relied on the 9-level manual, it would only be another unique life form in the universe, comparable to the golden horned beast. Temporarily excluded. Energy special life form. Small size 2, excluded. Rock type. Plant type. There were some choices for these two. Within the plant type, Luo Feng placed the most importance on the world tree. As for the rock type life form, he placed the most importance on Li Huishan. Li Huishan is my third choice. First is the world tree, second is the ancestral star tree, the first two are both tree-type life forms. Luo Feng shook his head within. Compared to the world tree, the second choice, the ancestral star tree, was obviously weaker. The third choice, Li Huishan, was even weaker than the ancestral star tree. Luo Feng's first choice was size. The world tree, ancestral star tree and Li Huishan were all special life forms with huge bodies. The failure to nurture the third body was a huge blow to Luo Feng. However, he quickly recovered. Since he couldn't nurture the world tree, then what kind of body should he nurture? I have to think about it carefully. Luo Feng thought, right no, I'm trapped in this 9-hell world, I have 3 treasures on me. I can't lose any one of them, especially the pagoda pearl. I'll first let the Moshe clansmen save me and leave this place. Within the primal region, within one of the countless palaces within the 1000 treasure river. Su. The Moshe clansman appeared within the palace. Master. Sky Formation Emperor bowed respectfully, simultaneously he was suspicious within. He thought his master would be in closed-door training for a long time, hence he ordered to prevent others from disturbing him. He didn't expect him to come out so quickly. HMPH. The Moshe clansman's eyes were still filled with unwillingness. Send me to the desolate rock island. The Moshe clansman swiftly summoned a slave. Within the 2 caves of the island, there were 2 rings disguised as rocks. Every ring had a few items belonging to different slaves. Yes. The slave replied respectfully. Weng. A golden light lit up. Bathed in it, the Moshe clansman could already see the god country's vast ocean on the other side of the tunnel. Su. He immediately vanished. 9 Hell Space Desolate Rock Island. The moment the Moshe clansman appeared on the island, he immediately teleported towards the 9 Hell Ocean below. He could clearly sense his main body's location, hence naturally he tried to get as close as possible. Rumble deep within the ocean, the water raged. Every drop of water was as heavy as a mountain. The Moshe clansman appeared in the ocean. My main body is below. The Moshe clansman gazed below. I can sense his exact location. Su. 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 The Moshe clansman continuously teleported downwards. With just 3 teleportations, he arrived at the bottom of the 9 Hell Ocean. At the bottom of the 9 Hell Ocean, there was an endless amount of blood-red energy flowing about. The energy was boiling and rumbling, almost like boiling water vapor. The powerful energy it emitted was comparable to a universe night. This caused the Moshe clansman's expression to change. I can't teleport below. The Moshe clansman frowned. This blood-red energy has completely suppressed the space ripples. From the coordinates of the universe, my main body and I are 6 light days apart. The Moshe clansman was secretly anxious. 6 light days. Light would take 6 days to reach there. Using his natural ability domain, he could at most travel 10,000 kilometers. Even if he traveled 100 times a second, it would still take 2-3 days to reach there. The prerequisite was, within this blood-red energy current, there was no danger at all. But from the looks of it, it doesn't seem like there is no danger. The Moshe clansman looked at the rumbling blood-red energy current. Although the Nine Hell Ocean was extremely heavy, it was unable to enter the range of the blood-red energy current. Let's risk it. After all, failure will just waste some energy. The Moshe clansman no longer hesitated. He directly entered the blood-red energy current. He didn't directly use his natural ability domain. Instead, he used the most basic method of flying. The moment he touched the blood-red energy current, the Moshe clansman felt a terrifying resistance. Chi, the Moshe clansman forcefully flew in, but the resistance of the blood-red energy current was ridiculously strong. The deeper he flew, the more ridiculous the resistance became. When the Moshe clansman entered 2 meters, he was completely stuck in the blood-red energy current, unable to fly any further. He couldn't even return. What a terrifying resistance. The Moshe clansman's expression changed. If it was other experts, they wouldn't have my natural ability domain. If they tried to force their way in, they would be stuck in the depths of the blood-red energy current and wouldn't be able to move at all. As expected of the Lord of the Nine Hells territory. In his territory, the Lord of the Nine Hell is invincible. Double quote. The Moshe clansman immediately used his natural ability domain. Su. No matter how strong the resistance was, the universe itself was made up of time and space. Every inch of space was space. The Moshe clansman instantly turned into space and then back into the Moshe clansman, instantly advancing 10,000 kilometers. Who? The Moshe clansman began to use his natural ability domain, advancing over 100 times in a second, crazily advancing downwards. It was just that everywhere he passed, there was endless blood-red energy current, and the resistance of the blood-red energy current was ridiculously strong. The Moshe clansman couldn't move it at all. The main body is below, and I'm right above his head. The Moshe clansman could clearly sense it. Faster, faster, faster. The Moshe clansman crazily used his innate ability. Although he was very tired, after using it for 6 hours, he only rested for 20 minutes before continuing to advance downwards. Just as the Moshe clansman was doing his best to pass through the Netherworld realm, within the Netherworld realm, amidst the huge group of native warriors that had formed a huge encirclement, 3 figures with powerful auras flew over from afar. They were precisely the prince and the 2 venerables under him. Your Highness the Prince. In midair, the Universe Supremacy General bowed respectfully. Greetings, Your Highness the Prince. The thousands of warriors in the surrounding space all knelt down, incomparably respectful and pious. Ha ha ha, the prince smiled. An undying outsider was actually able to make my territory so lively. Haha, if the venerables meet him, they are forbidden from killing him. Leave it to me. As for the other soldiers, you can use your full strength. Double quote. Pass down my order, retract the net. His Royal Highness ordered. Yes. The blood-horned general respectfully replied. At the same time, the prince's order was transmitted to the other 8 generals through the virtual world. Following the orders of the 9 generals, the encirclement that had been set up for a long time finally began to retract. Chapter 1008 Swallowed Star. With the prince's order, the huge encirclement began to shrink. The entire encirclement had a diameter of 30 billion kilometers, with over 100 million aboriginal warriors. The Sector Lord warriors and Undying warriors ratio was about 1,001. These Sector Lord warriors may not be able to stop Luo Feng, but they were enough to be his eyes. Such a huge encirclement, even if he flew at sublight speed, he would still need 2 to 3 days to get through. The encirclement was split into 9 layers. The inner 8 layers were all Sector Lord level warriors. The outermost layer was the Undying Warriors and the Universe Lord Generals. That outsider definitely won't be able to escape. He has already fallen into the encirclement. Being captured and killed is the only outcome. The Sector Lord warriors were separated by tens of thousands of km. They began to swiftly advance. Their world energy was immediately unleashed, drawing on the energy of the 9 underworld, sweeping a large area. No outsider could escape. The encirclement shrunk and continued to advance. After about 3 hours. Outsider. It's an outsider. A Sector Lord warrior that was flying swiftly stopped, gazing at the ground below, simultaneously reporting the situation. See lab. The dried-up ground suddenly tore open. A silver-armored, silver-winged silhouette swiftly rushed into the sky, emitting a powerful energy. His speed was extremely fast. Chase. This Sector Lord warrior chased with all his might, however the difference in strength was too huge. Sue. Tens of Sector Lord warriors chased from all directions. However they could only watch as the silver-armored, silver-winged silhouette rushed out of the encirclement. We can't escape, we are just at the innermost layer of the encirclement. There are a total of 9 layers. These Sector Lord warriors began to retreat, returning to their positions. At this time, the entire north of the encirclement stopped advancing. The 2nd, 3rd, 4th, the Sector Lord warriors of the 8th layer all began to chase. XIU. The silver-armored, silver-winged silhouette continued to flee, swiftly shaking off the Sector Lord warriors. He sure is fast. This outsider's speed is really fast. In the outermost 9th layer, the Undying Warriors had long begun to gather. Actually, the Sector Lord warriors of the first 8 layers were chasing. In truth, they wanted to confirm the outsider's exact location. This way, the warriors of the outermost 9th layer could gather ahead of time, gathering at the crucial location. From the 1st to the 9th, the silver-armored, silver-winged silhouette flew for close to 30 minutes. He has already passed through the 8th floor and is about to arrive. Everyone, be careful. This outsider is extremely fast. According to our previous reports, even our clan's leader can't catch up to him, so one-on-one is definitely not possible. Our teams will surround him and attack him together, using our attacks to stop him. Close to 800 Undying Warriors had split into 3 teams, and were ready to attack. 30 minutes was enough for an Undying Warrior to fly hundreds of millions of kilometers. That was why all the Undying Warriors within hundreds of millions of kilometers had gathered here. A total of 800 Undying Warriors. Horizontal ellipsis. In another corner of the encirclement, His Royal Highness was there. I didn't expect him to run in that direction. His Royal Highness shook his head. It's a pity that I couldn't fight him right away. I hope he's strong enough to withstand the first wave of attacks from 800 Undying Warriors and survive with 20% or 30% of his divine body intact. That way, I can personally meet this outsider. Double quote. His Royal Highness, that outsider isn't simple. Under the attacks of 800 Undying Warriors, even though he definitely can't escape, he should be able to keep his life. A skinny Universe Supreme said respectfully. They've begun. His Royal Highness' eyes lit up. Through the virtual world, he could see everything clearly. Horizontal ellipsis. 3 teams. Close to 800 Undying Warriors. The outsider has appeared. 9 underworlds attack. These close to 800 Undying Warriors with the highest authority immediately gave the order. All the Undying Warriors simultaneously raised their thick right arms, letting out roars. Following that, their arms immediately ignited, emitting a blood-red divine light. Weng. The blood-colored energy in this area was completely drawn over, madly gathering towards each of the immortal warriors. Above each undying warrior's right arm appeared a blurry blood-colored blade aura. Above the 200 undying warriors, 200 blood-colored blade aura directly gathered, forming a huge blood blade. The 3 undying teams each had a huge blood blade condensed in the air. The blood blade was madly absorbing the blood energy in the air, causing its power to continuously grow until it reached the limit of what the undying warriors could control. XIU. The silver-armored silver-winged figure appeared. Seeing the distant undying team, he immediately panicked and fled. Unfortunately, the other 2 directions also had an undying team. Apart from retreating, he had nowhere to run. Attack. The order was given. 3 teams in 3 directions, close to 800 undying warriors simultaneously waved their right arms. Hua. The huge blood blade immediately flew through the air, unstoppable wherever it passed. 3 huge blood blades simultaneously slashed towards the silver-armored silver-winged figure. The silver-armored silver-winged figure's aura soared as he desperately tried to flee, but how could he match the speed of the blood blades? Rumble. The blood blades flew hundreds of thousands of kilometers. When they neared, the 3 huge blood blades simultaneously exploded. The terrifying power was like a super expert self-destructing nearby. The boundless power instantly swept through the silver-armored silver-winged figure. Ah! A mournful cry of pain resounded through the sky. Under this power, the silver-armored silver-winged figure directly turned into nothingness, disappearing without a trace. The foreign undying is dead. Close to 800 undying warriors quickly flew over, divine power sweeping through. Only an ordinary undying weapon and a world ring are left. His Royal Highness received the news immediately. Dead? The prince was very shocked. He heard that the foreign undying's speed was faster than the captain-level undying warriors of his side, so he knew that the other party wasn't ordinary. Because in the 9 Netherworld realm, the people of the same race were strengthened, while the other races were suppressed. Your Highness, the undying warriors of the 9 Netherworld realm were just a catalyst for the joint attack of the 9 Netherworld realm. It's not strange for them to kill the foreign race. If there are enough undying warriors and the world energy is strong enough, it's even possible to kill a universe venerable. The muscular universe venerable said respectfully. The prince ordered through the virtual world, check the world ring. A moment later, he received the report. Within the world ring, there weren't any treasures, just some ordinary undying items. To the prince, they were just trash. Fake, that dead foreign race is definitely fake. The prince shook his head. To be faster than our captain-level undying warriors, he's definitely not ordinary in the outside world. How can he only have these few things? Maybe he's just good at escaping. The skinny universe venerable said. Let's sweep through the area first. The prince said, at the same time giving orders through the virtual world. All undying warriors, return to your positions. The prince ordered, continue to shrink the encirclement. The 800 undying warriors retreated. Previously, they spent close to 30 minutes gathering. Now, returning to their original positions also took close to 30 minutes. Going back and forth, because of this silver-armored silver-winged figure, they had already wasted an hour. Another 2 hours later. Discovered foreign race, discovered foreign race. The news spread. What? Another foreign race? Didn't the foreign race die? The prince who was controlling the entire encirclement laughed loudly when he received the news. I knew that foreign race couldn't be underestimated. From the looks of it, he must have used an undying slave before, letting the undying slave transform into him to lure us. Your Majesty, what do we do now? The second foreign race that appears, may not be him. The 2 universe venerables looked at the prince. Even though they had their own thoughts, the prince's position was extremely high. No matter right or wrong, they usually listened to him. Continue according to the original plan. Every foreign race that appears has to be dealt with carefully. The prince said confidently, If we're careless and one escapes, who knows, the one that escapes might be the one we want to capture. Double quote. But this way, the encirclement will shrink slower. Even if it's slower, we have to steadily sweep through the area. Wipe out all foreign races, don't let a single one escape. This way, the foreign race definitely won't be able to escape. The prince ordered. Indeed, everything was as the prince had guessed. Those were the undying slaves Luo Feng sent out. Every undying slave fought to escape within the encirclement, attracting large numbers of undying warriors and finally getting killed. However, every time the undying warriors gathered and returned to their original positions, the shortest would be 1 hour, the longest would be 2 hours. Within the weeds, Luo Feng frowned as he pondered over the entire plan. Fortunately, there are quite a few of my servants who are masters of the soul. They all have dozens or even hundreds of servants. In fact, their servants also have servants. Luo Feng didn't care about those slaves. Every undying slave's speed might not be faster than the aboriginal sector lords. However, the moment they ignited their god energy, their strength would rise by 1,000 times. Every undying slave far surpassed the sector lord warriors. Undying slave after undying slave, sacrificing their lives. Constantly stalling for time. Quick, quick, quick. Luo Feng was anxious within. The slaves I've sent out only cause one side of the encirclement to slow down. The other 3 sides are still advancing, simultaneously blocking all 4 sides. Every day I delay, I'll waste close to 100 slaves. Luo Feng thought. The undying slaves are still very useful. Whether it's for the god country transfer or as bait etc., I can't waste them so crazily. Luo Feng looked up at the sky. Right above his head, within the blood energy flow, the Moshe clansman was constantly unleashing its natural talent domain, heading downwards time and time again. Quick, now it's just a matter of whether his encirclement shrinks faster or my Moshe clansman rushes over faster. Luo Feng was anxious. He had previously planned to let the slaves escape and gather the undying warriors at the outermost area of the encirclement. Then he would take advantage of the area's defense to escape. However, after thinking about it carefully, he realized the chances of success weren't high. Because the encirclement was very intricate. Even though it was roughly circular, in truth it had 9 layers. Especially the last layer was more like a gear. Some of the undying warriors would scatter very far away. And even though a large portion of them would be attracted, there would still be a small number of undying warriors that acted as sentries. With the gear structure of the sentries, taking turns to chase after Luo Feng, watching him for 1 to 2 hours wasn't hard. This is still my luck. If my luck was bad, with the slaves frequently escaping in that direction, they could arrange for a universe night to be there and I'd be done for. Luo Feng thought. The safest method is for the Moshe clansman to come. He's most proficient in hiding and escaping. Luo Feng looked up at the sky. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Kidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1009 Swallowed Star. In the depths of this land, there was an endless amount of blood energy gathered. This was the forbidden land of the entire 9 darkness world. Even a universe knight couldn't enter too deep within. However, within this forbidden land, the Moshe clansman flickered time and time again, heading downwards. I have to hurry. As the Moshe clansman tried his best to pass through the 9 darkness world's blood energy layer, the huge encirclement was still steadily shrinking. The 39th, look, I've said it before, this foreign undying is not simple. To be able to produce so many undying slaves, how can he be a normal warrior? The prince smiled. Your Majesty is wise. The 2 universe supremacies flattered. Undying slaves camouflage and escape. Even 2 undying slaves, one hidden in the other's world ring, taking advantage of the other's death and our warriors slacking to suddenly appear and escape. Or maybe 3 undying slaves, attacking the same defense line in different areas. However, I have over 100 million warriors under me, how can he escape? The prince was confident. That foreign undying is just his last struggle. The skinny universe knight said. Very quickly, he'll have nowhere to run. The other knight said. The prince nodded. Right now the encirclement is only half of what it was before, our warrior numbers are much more than before. Half of the warriors will still follow the previous plan, the other half will continue to advance, no matter if we meet the foreign undying or not, we'll continue to advance. I want to use my fastest speed to wipe them all out. Double quote. This way, even if the foreign undying sends slaves, they won't be able to slow down our encirclement. The prince's eyes gleamed. The 2 universe supremacies agreed. Indeed, as the encirclement shrunk, the aboriginal warrior numbers were much more than before. With the order, half of the sector lord warriors and undying warriors began to swiftly advance into the encirclement. Wipe them all out. Not good. Within the grass, Luo Feng's expression changed. Through the undying he sent out, he was clear of the encirclement's movements. You're actually ignoring my servant and charging straight in? Luo Feng understood with a thought, this was due to the encirclement shrinking. What do I do? What do we do now? Luo Feng panicked. According to Luo Feng's calculations before, there was plenty of time, the only problem was the number of undyings used. But now, the slave undying didn't want to waste any more time, so he was in trouble. Hurry, 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 hurry. Luo Feng looked up at the endless blood-colored energy in the sky. Horizontal ellipsis. The encirclement was now divided into an outer and an inner encirclement. The encirclement was still the same as before. The inner encirclement didn't care about the other undying beings, only caring about charging in and sweeping through everything, clearly understanding the arrangements of the other undying beings. Charge. 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 The undying servants rushed out one after another, easily breaking out of the encirclement, because no one stopped them at all. Horizontal ellipsis. 1 day later. The tens of millions of soldiers in the inner encirclement finally began to gather. Your Royal Highness, we have swept through the entire encirclement. Pass down my orders. The inner encirclement is to expand and move closer to the outer encirclement. At the same time, kill any outsiders you encounter. The prince gave the order. At this time, the entire encirclement had become much smaller. Similarly, the density of the warriors in the large area had also increased. Luo Feng was already in an extremely dangerous situation. Encirclement. Luo Feng gritted his teeth. I'll go all out and fight for the last bit of time. The Moshe clansmen will probably arrive in 3 hours and 17 minutes, I have to fight for this bit of time. Even though the high and mighty 9 Underworld Lord owed the primal Chaos City leader a favor. But how important was a favor from the 9 Underworld Lord? Luo Feng definitely wouldn't use it easily. As long as I can escape from the lower levels, with the 9 Underworld Lord's arrogance, he shouldn't act against me. I've never heard of the 9 Underworld Lord directly acting against an inheritor. Luo Feng thought. With a wave of his hand, another 6 undying servants appeared, all bowing respectfully, Master's master. Master's master's master. Listen to my orders. Luo Feng ordered. Yes. The 6 servants transformed into Luo Feng and swiftly flew out according to his orders. Luo Feng had truly gone crazy. The encirclement from the inner and outer encirclement was simultaneously advancing and killing all outsiders. However, because they were killing all outsiders, the outsiders' charge would cause the encirclement to pause. Every pause and wait for the undying warriors to return would waste quite a bit of time. However, as the distance got smaller and smaller, The warriors became more numerous. Hence, every attack would only pause for a short period of time. Your Majesty, very quickly, the encirclement will close in, that outsider won't be able to escape no matter what. The two knights were filled with anticipation. The prince nodded slightly with a smile on his face. A turtle in a jar? A final struggle? That outsider Undying struggled with all his might, making the prince very happy. He really doesn't want to die. The prince thought, otherwise he wouldn't struggle so hard even though he knows he's in a hopeless situation. However, you will eventually fall into my hands. I'll take a good look at what this outsider has up his sleeves. The prince was filled with anticipation. In his long life, he had very little fun. Luo Feng looked up at the sky, his expression filled with glee. Su. A silhouette appeared in mid-air, almost like teleportation, flickering time and time again. In a blink of an eye, it had already arrived below and stopped. It was the Moshe clansman. He's here. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief and swiftly entered the Moshe clansman's world ring. The Moshe clansman's body shook and a black energy flowed. He immediately became an aboriginal Undying warrior, that blood-red body and blood-red horn. Even his energy was copied. Back when Luo Feng had just arrived in the Netherworld, he was one of the hundreds of Undying warriors that chased him. Continuously for over a day, every second I use my natural abilities over 100 times, my consciousness is about to go crazy from exhaustion. The native devil killer warrior let out a sigh of relief. This past day had been far too tiring. He hadn't been able to relax for even a moment. In truth, he had been constantly using his innate ability at such a high frequency. Even the Universe Knights, many of their willpower couldn't handle that sort of fatigue. Luo Feng's willpower was very strong, along with his thirst for life, he managed to keep up. I estimate there's still 11 minutes before the encirclement reaches me. The Moshe warrior smiled. It's a pity, you're too late. The encirclement and the encirclement of over 100 million Aboriginal warriors were already very close. They began their final slaughter. High up in the sky. The prince floated high up in mid-air, looking down at the vast land. All the warriors that noticed the prince naturally bowed respectfully. Ha ha ha, the final slaughter. Very quickly, every space has my warriors. I want to see where these aliens can escape to. The prince was extremely happy. However, after 20 minutes. Your Highness, my subordinates have searched everywhere and haven't found any strong aliens. My subordinates haven't found any strong aliens either. Haven't found any. The generals swiftly reported. This caused the prince to be dumbfounded. How can there be none? The prince roared at the 9 generals in the virtual world. The 9 generals all reported. Your Highness, while we were sweeping through the area, we killed 83 suspicious foreigners that were trying to escape. The combined attack of us, the Undying warriors, activated the power of the Netherworld realm, and all the peak-level King Severing powerhouses outside were instantly killed. It's very likely that the alien Undying died in the process. Right, Your Highness, we've found a suspicious alien. He's extremely fast and strong, and he left behind quite a few treasures after he died. It's very likely that he's the one we're looking for. It should be him. When the 9 generals all reported, the prince became even angrier. No, it's definitely not him. The one that reported first was even faster than the captain-level Undying warrior. Since he's this fast, he's definitely not a normal expert. And up until now, we haven't found any such alien. Search for him. We must find him. His Royal Highness roared. Yes. In front of the prince's anger, the 9 generals could only obediently obey. However, no matter how hard the 100 million warriors searched, they couldn't find anything. Of course I can't, because I'm one of you warriors. The Moshe race undying warrior was very relaxed, because under the orders of the incomparably furious prince, over 100 million warriors were frantically searching, flying in all directions. He also took the chance to fly into the distance. Every warrior was in charge of an area. Naturally, he was the same. Hence, without turning back, he flew far away. No matter how the prince roared in anger, the hundreds of millions of soldiers couldn't find him no matter how hard they searched the land. Finally, the prince was unwilling to give up, and could only order the warriors to return to their positions. The Moshe clan warriors weren't in a rush to leave. With the Moshe clan clone, I can hide my aura and change my identity, they won't be able to find me. Secondly, even if they find me, with my innate skill domain, even a universe venerable won't be able to stop me. One couldn't blame the Moshe clan for being so confident. After all, in the netherworld, universe venerables couldn't teleport. Those experts couldn't teleport. And the Moshe clan clone could use its innate skill domain, who could catch up to it? A secluded aboriginal city. The Moshe clan warrior flew in the sky for a while. Along the way he met other wandering aboriginal warriors. None of them suspected Luo Feng, because there had never been any trouble in the netherworld. This city doesn't even have city walls. With a glance, there were large amounts of buildings outside the city. Many blood-colored bodies and blood-horned aboriginals lived there. Within the city there was a tall city wall, that should be the inner city. Luo Feng guessed that there should be some powerful warriors with high positions in the inner city. Chapter 1010 Swallowed Star. In this foreign race world, Luo Feng walked calmly. Looking around, there were many aboriginals living within the buildings. These aboriginals all had blood-colored bodies and blood-colored horns. Some were like babies, not even reaching his knees, yet they were running around on the ground. Some were like children, and had already begun to fight with each other to see who was stronger. An infant is a star traveler, an adult is a sector lord. Luo Feng looked around. As long as one reached the height of an aborigine, they were all sector lords. No wonder there were so many world overlords among the aboriginal warriors who chased after me earlier. This aboriginal race is really strong, much stronger than the golden horn race I've been to before. In the universe, they probably have the right to be ranked as a strong race. Luo Feng thought. Suddenly, a voice rang in his ears. The three native babies were running around and playing. Their planetary state power allowed them to run very fast. When they were playing, they would send the other babies flying with one punch. That blood-colored curved horn added a tinge of cuteness. I was born in the ancestral sea, so you should serve me as your leader. Being born in the ancestral sea, absorbing the essence of the ancestral sea is a good talent, but it doesn't mean you will definitely become undying. We were born in the imperial sea, but we are still stronger than you. Left double quotation mark. If you don't like me, I'll beat you until you do. Who's afraid of whom? The three babies were playing with each other. Luo Feng turned as he heard this, looking at the distant three infants, thinking, they look like infants, but just like the golden horned beast, born with high intellect. I'm afraid he's comparable to ordinary human youths. Double quote. Born from the ancestral sea. Born in the sovereign sea? Absorbing the essence of the ancestral sea. Many thoughts flashed through Luo Feng's mind. Don't tell me these aboriginals aren't born from my mother. That's right, they are energy-type life forms, and the birth of energy-type life forms is indeed very different. From the sounds of it, some natives are born from the ancestral sea, and some natives are born from the imperial sea. Double quote. Zuhei, it sounds like he's one level higher. The Emperor Ocean, with the Emperor's name, along the way, the aboriginals I've met, they've long heard that the prince had led over 100 million soldiers to surround and kill me. The prince's position is high, then there's definitely an even higher emperor. Luo Feng thought. Ancestral sea, Imperial Sea. Prince. Luo Feng's mind was filled with many questions, after which he continued walking. The aboriginals all bowed respectfully when they saw Luo Feng. This Luo Feng had long known, in this aboriginal world, undying level warriors were extremely respectful. It was a majestic ancient city with countless natives living there. This ancient city was much bigger than the one Luo Feng was currently in, because this was where the princes lived. The universe knights and generals all had their own residences here too. Ancient city, imperial palace. Bastard. Damn it. His Royal Highness paced back and forth in the hall, his brows furrowed and his teeth clenched from time to time. All the servants had left, leaving only His Royal Highness in the hall. Outside the main hall, all the servants were trembling with fear. They didn't know why His Highness had suddenly flown into a rage and even directly executed 3 servants. You actually dare to laugh at me? Didn't you just become a universe supremacy earlier than me? You actually dare to laugh at me? You still believe that an outsider undying definitely can't escape detection, that I'm just thinking randomly? His Royal Highness clenched his teeth. As a high and mighty being in this world, even the universe supremacies had to respect him. To the Royal Highness, his subordinates didn't even dare to provoke him. The only ones who dared to provoke him were his brothers. 108 brothers. Naturally they competed time and time again, competing against each other. This time, the matter of them surrounding and killing an outsider undying naturally couldn't be hidden anymore. They were actually laughed at. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. His Royal Highness fiercely waved his arm. Rumble. The doors to the hall closed, scaring the servants outside into not daring to make a single sound. Within the hall, only the huge pillars glowed with a faint red light, causing the entire hall to glow red. Father. Father. Your child requests an audience with Father. His Royal Highness fiercely raised his head and shouted. Rumble. An unparalleled energy suddenly descended within the hall. The powerful energy of the netherworld began to gather. However, such a huge commotion, the servants outside the hall didn't feel anything at all. The inside and outside of the hall were like 2 different worlds. The energy of the netherworld gathered, gradually forming the outline of a huge blurry face. My child. The huge head looked at the Royal Highness. Father. The Royal Highness first respectfully bowed, then said unhappily, this time your child commanded over 100 million warriors to surround and kill an outsider undying, killing many of his servants. Even in the end, your child was sure that the outsider undying didn't die. I even summoned the 300 undying warriors stationed in the netherworld whirlpool back then. Those undying warriors who chased and killed the outsider undying all said, that outsider undying was incredibly fast. The servants we killed afterwards were all different. Their words also confirm that my guess is correct. Double quote. But, His Royal Highness gritted his teeth. The huge head looked down, its voice cold as it said slowly, but your subordinates and your brothers all think that you're delusional, right? Yes. His Royal Highness nodded, saying unwillingly, but you're right. They're right. Searching with the netherworld energy and not finding the outsider, they think that you're delusional. The huge head looked down at the Royal Highness. However, that outsider undying is indeed still alive. Alive? He's really alive. The Royal Highness was instantly overjoyed, laughing out loud. I knew that outsider undying was definitely alive. Back then when I received the information, I knew that outsider undying was definitely not simple. Not simple, extremely not simple. The huge head said coldly. Then how did he escape the search of my army? The Royal Highness asked. Regarding this, he was also curious. His brother had asked him this before. Searching with the netherworld energy, all the outsiders were revealed. Now that the 100 million army couldn't find him, it's obvious that the outsider undying was already killed. You said he's alive, then let me ask you, how did that outsider undying escape the search? Double quote. The Royal Highness was also filled with questions. Because he has a disguise method. The huge head looked down. He can disguise as anyone from my netherworld race. Ah. The Royal Highness didn't dare believe it. Then we have to hurry and kill him. If he can disguise as anyone from our race, we'll be doomed. The huge head suddenly snorted coldly. The Royal Highness instantly came to his senses, obediently not saying anything. Even though his father loved his brothers, his father was very cold and proud. It was already good enough that he loved them, but if these princes dared to criticize his father's matters, then they would be punished. You should hurry and train, step into the realm of the universe like your 3 brothers. That way, I can bring you out to Rome. The huge head said before disappearing. That terrifying aura also dissipated. Only then did the Royal Highness let out a sigh of relief. That's good. The Royal Highness felt some lingering fear. Earlier when he realized that he said something wrong, he immediately obediently kept quiet. If he dared to argue, then he would be in deep trouble. Universe realm. I will definitely reach it, definitely. The moment the Royal Highness thought about this, his eyes immediately filled with boundless killing intent. That was a killing intent that had been suppressed for countless years. Because all of the princes and brothers had to reach the realm of the universe before they had the right to leave their home and roam the outside world. Luo Feng walked amongst the many buildings. Suddenly he saw a group of babies playing around. Come here. Luo Feng waved at one of them. The one that was the happiest, obviously the leader of the children, immediately ran over obediently and bowed respectfully. Greetings Undying. Luo Feng smiled and asked, you were born in the ancestral sea? Yes. That baby rubbed his horns and said shyly. Luo Feng nodded. According to his deductions, the aboriginals born in the ancestral sea were naturally stronger than those born in the imperial sea. They were considered more outstanding. Like a group of babies playing around, those born in the ancestral sea were usually the leaders. Tell me about the ancestral sea. Luo Feng ordered. Lord Undying has never been to the ancestral sea. The baby seemed very excited, following which he said proudly, the ancestral sea is outside our world. Even if we are born in the ancestral sea, the moment we leave it and enter our world, we'll never be able to return. Unless we become undying, we'll have to pass through the 9 underworld whirlpool to enter the ancestral sea. Luo Feng was stunned when he heard this. Ancestral sea. 9 underworld whirlpool? Outside? Don't tell me it's the 9 underworld ocean. Luo Feng couldn't help but think. The ancestral sea is very vast. The aboriginal said, endless, it's right above our world. It said it's even bigger than our world. Those born in the imperial sea can't compare to us at all. There's a total of 108 imperial seas. Even the largest one isn't even a little bigger than the ancestral sea. Luo Feng felt a knot within. Above. Even bigger than this world? 9 underworld ocean. Luo Feng trembled within. The entire 9 underworld space is actually just a 9 underworld ocean. There are only a few islands on it. So the 9 underworld ocean will give birth to some aboriginals. That baby boasted. Obviously he was very proud of being born in the ancestral sea. Even though Luo Feng's heart was in turmoil, on the surface he still nodded, smiling. Being born in the imperial sea, it's not bad. Have you been there before? I've never been. The baby shook his head, seemingly understanding that this undying was born in the imperial sea, saying, the imperial sea isn't bad either, especially the largest one. I'm still young now. Once I get stronger, I'll still be able to go. Luo Feng immediately understood. Able to go? It wasn't easy for these aboriginals to leave this world. Even meeting the ancestral sea was hard. Since it was easy to meet the imperial sea, then it would definitely be within the 9 underworld.